దూర విద్యా విధానంలో డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ దేశంలోనే మొట్టమొదటి సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం. దాదాపు 2.5 దశాబ్దాలుగా దూర విద్యా విధానం ద్వారా కంప్యూటర్ కోర్సును అనుసంధానం చేస్తూ BA, BCom, BSc డిగ్రీ కోర్సులను అందిస్తోంది. పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ స్థాయి, డిగ్రీ, డిప్లొమా స్థాయి కోర్సులను ఔత్సాహికులైన విద్యార్థులకు అందిస్తోంది. డెవలప్మెంట్ స్టడీస్లో సెంటర్ ఫర్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అండ్ సోషల్ స్టడీస్ ద్వారా ఎంఫిల్, PhDతో పాటు విశ్వవిద్యాలయమే స్వయంగా దూర విద్యా విధాన అంశంపైన PhD వంటి పరిశోధన కోర్సులు ప్రవేశపెట్టింది. సుమారు 4.5 లక్షల మంది విద్యార్థులు ఈ విశ్వవిద్యాలయం నుంచి ఉన్నత విద్యావకాశాలు పొందుతున్నారు. డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం స్థానికంగా స్వయం బోధనా పద్ధతిలో ముద్రణ రూపంలో రూపొందించిన కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అందిస్తోంది. కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అధ్యయనానికి సహకరించే విధంగా రేడియో, టెలివిజన్ పాఠ్యాంశాల ఆధారంగా కార్యక్రమాలు ప్రసారం చేస్తోంది. అధ్యయన కేంద్రాల ద్వారా ఏర్పాటు చేసే సలహా సంసర్గ తరగతులు, సైన్స్ ప్రాక్టికల్ సౌకర్యాలు విద్యార్థులకు స్వయం అధ్యయనానికి ఒక చక్కటి అవకాశం. ఇవి విద్యార్థి సమీపంలో ఉండే అధ్యయన కేంద్రం నుంచే పొందొచ్చు.
Hello, Doordarshan viewers and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University students. Namaskar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, Department of Chemistry, producing a teleconference programming on oxidation and reduction. This topic is from the MSc second year, paper 6. To explain this topic, we have two eminent lecturers with us in our studio. They are Mr. J. Mohan Babu Garu, Assistant Professor, Nizam College, and Mr. B. Rajkumar Garu, Counselor, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. This program is of 60 minutes. In first 50 minutes, eminent lecturers explain the program in the first 50 minutes, and last 10 minutes phone-in program. Students or viewers, if you have any doubts, you may call the following numbers: 040-270-31431 and 270-31432, 270-31433. Now I request Mr. J. Mohan Babu Garu, please explain what are the oxidations and reactions and explain that.
So in synthetic organic chemistry, the reagents plays a very important role, and these reagents are the key material for the conversion of the one functional group into the another functional group. In a chemical reaction, the oxidation or the reduction reactions are takes place. So oxidation. So what is oxidation? So in chemistry language, the oxidation is the addition of oxygen or the removal of hydrogen or the addition of loss of electron is called oxidation. Whereas the reduction reaction is, it is quite reverse to the oxidation. That means the addition of hydrogen and loss of oxygen or the gain of electron is called the reductions. So these reagents plays a very important role to convert the one functional group into the another functional group. And these reagents are classified into different types, like oxidizing reagents and reducing reagents and organometallic compounds. So here the oxidizing reagents, these are various types are there. For example, potassium dichromate is there, and KMnO4 is there, and osmium tetroxide is there, ozone is there, and DDQ, dicyano dichloro and hydroquinone, and selenium dioxide and NBS, N-bromosuccinamide, and hydrogen peroxide and paracids. So these are the oxidizing agents. So each reagent plays a important function into the chemical reaction. And come to the reductions. So in the reduction reactions, there are different types of reagents are there. Lithium aluminum hydride is there, and sodium borohydride, and metal hydrogen reductions is there. Wilkinson catalyst is there, and different types of reducing reagents are there. And next, organometallic reagents. So in organometallic reagents, these are very important for the formation of the carbon-carbon single bond. Means in the synthetic organic chemistry, for the lengthening of for the increase of the carbon chain, these organometallic compounds plays a very important role. So these are the reagents which are helpful in the synthetic organic chemistry.
Sir, how olefins are oxidized from the different oxidizing agents? Can you explain from different reagents what they are showing functional activity in the oxidation?
So in the oxidation, the olefins in oxidation reactions, majorly they converts into the diols. So diol formations are there. For diol formation, different reagents are used. For example, osmium tetroxide and potassium permanganate and peracids and peroxy acids and hydrogen peroxide. So these are the some important reagents which are converts the olefins into the 1,2 diols. It may be cis diol or the trans diols. So these reagents converts the olefin into different diols, or diols also called as glycols. Two hydroxy groups attached on the same on the compound is called the glycols. So first, the osmium tetroxide. So we are going to explain about the osmium tetroxide. So osmium tetroxide, in osmium tetroxide, the osmium exhibits the 8 oxidation state. So in osmium tetroxide, 8 oxidation state. So after the oxidation reaction is complete, it converts into 6 oxidation state. So in this reaction, if you see the mechanism, here the olefin reacts with the osmium tetroxide. So the two oxygens which are attached on the osmium tetroxide, two oxygens are attached on the olefin, and it forms a cyclic ester kind of compound. This cyclic ester compound further undergoes the hydrolysis reaction, and it forms a 2 diols, that is cis diols ones. Here why we are getting the cis diols means here the two oxygens are facing, means attacking from the same phase. That's why we are getting the cis diols. So in the hydrolysis reaction, that is also called oxidative and reductive decomposition. So in the oxidative and reductive decomposition, along with the water, we will use some other reagents also. So these reagents helps for the speed up of the hydroxylation process. For example, if you use the tertiary amines, here the tertiary amines like pyridine. So this pyridine coordinates with the osmium metal, and it supplies the electrons towards the osmium. So in such manner, the oxygen and the metal bond gets cleaved, and the diol formation process will be gets speed up. So this is the mechanism of this one, and the functions of the osmium tetroxide. So osmium tetroxide, it attacks from the sterically less crowded position. In general, in a substance, if any substitutions are present on the olefin, so the osmium tetroxide, it attacks from the opposite side of the substitution where it has present. So we are getting the cis diols only. And next, potassium permanganate. So the second reagent for the diol formation is the potassium permanganate. So in potassium permanganate, the olefin attacks to the KMnO4. The KMnO4 attacks to the olefin, and it forms a manganate ester. And this manganate ester further undergoes the hydrolysis reaction, and it converts into the diols. Here also we are getting the same as osmium tetroxide. In the KMnO4 oxidation reaction, we are getting the cis diol only, because here also the two oxygens are going to attack on the olefin facing from the same phase, that's why we are getting cis diol. And here the potassium permanganate, here potassium permanganate also called as, sometimes the dilute potassium permanganate, this is also called as the Bayer reagent, and this reagent is very helpful. This reagent is very helpful in the identification of the unsaturation in a organic compound. For example, if the compound, any substance is having the double bond or the triple bond, means the unsaturation. So if we use this reagent potassium permanganate, then this gray color of the potassium permanganate converts into the brownish color. That means here it gets into the red, means it oxidized into the manganese dioxide. KMnO4 converts into the MnO2. So this is one of the qualitative test for the conducted for the unsaturation identification.
Okay, sir. In the reactions, we are using osmium tetroxide is very catalytic amount.
Yes.
Why we are using only catalytic amount in the case of we are compare so many reactions, the oxidizing reagent we are using in the bulk amount, but in the osmium tetroxide oxidations we are using only catalytic amount. What is the importance of the catalytic amount?
Yeah, actually the osmium tetroxide, it is a toxic reagent. It is a toxic reagent and it is a very highly expansive reagent. It toxic and highly expansive reagent. So in a synthetic chemistry, so we cannot use this toxic and highly expansive reagent. So to reduce the cost of this osmium tetroxide, along with this osmium tetroxide, we will use some other reagent, cheap reagents, which are available in the market cheaply. So we will use along with this osmium tetroxide, just like NMO. NMO means N-methyl morpholine N oxide. This is one of the reagent which is used as a co-oxidants. These reagents are called as the co-oxidants. So these co-oxidants makes this osmium tetroxide, again means they recycles the osmium tetroxide. Means in the osmium tetroxide, actually in previously it is exhibits a 8 oxidation state. After the oxidation is over, it converts into osmic acid. So osmic acid, and it exhibits a 6 oxidation state. So this NMO means the co-oxidant, it reacts with the osmic acid, and again it converts into osmium tetroxide. So in such a manner we are going to reduce the using amount of the osmium tetroxide. This is also called as catalytic amount of the osmium tetroxide.
Okay. The small quantity of osmium tetroxide, again it will oxidize with the co-oxidant
to reduce
after consumption of the reaction.
Yes.
Okay. Now I am coming to Mr. Rajkumar. How the alcohols are oxidized with the different oxidizing reagents? Explain.
So generally alcohols can be converted into different products. So first, the alcohol, depending upon the nature of alcohol, whether it is primary or secondary or tertiary. So primary alcohol simply direct converted into aldehyde. So the formed aldehyde is commonly highly reactive. So it again converted into acid. So this is the case for primary alcohol. But when in the case of secondary alcohol, so it upon oxidation, the secondary alcohol will get converted into ketone. So then the ketone, if you use further oxidation process, so it will get converted into acid, but this process takes place by the cleavage of carbon-carbon bond. So that's why it requires somewhat harsh conditions. So let's coming to some reagents which converts alcohols into aldehydes or ketones or acids. So just take a look. So first, the most commonly used reagents. So the most commonly used reagents for conversion of alcohols into carbonyl compounds are chromium 6 oxidants. So they are nothing but hexavalent chromium compounds. So in those, the first one is chromic acid. So chromic acid generally it is a strong acid, so it converts the primary alcohol into aldehyde, but in this acidic conditions, the formed aldehyde is highly unstable. So in the acidic condition, it may converted into acid, so which is not desirable for us, and maybe this formed aldehyde further reacts with the unreacted alcohol to form hemiacetal structure, which is there in, if you can see in the reaction, this hemiacetal structure will be formed. So this hemiacetal structure again converted into its ester form. Okay. So generally alcohol upon reaction with chromic acid, secondary alcohol upon reaction with chromic acid forms ketone. So whereas in case of primary alcohol, it converted into aldehyde, but that is not stable one, that may be converted into acid or ester. So the conversion of primary alcohol into aldehyde is not suitable in the case of chromic acid. So if you see the mechanism of this reaction, so alcohol first reacts with chromic acid and forms chromate ester. So this is called, this is the first step of the reaction. Next, in the second step, the formed chromate ester will get cleaved and it will produce the carbonyl compound. Okay, so this is a two-step reaction. But if you take an alcohol which is sterically less crowded, that means the substitution on the alcohol is very less. In such cases, the chromate ester formation is rapidly takes place. So the chromate ester formation is not a rate determining step, it forms easily. Then the cleavage of this ester to produce carbonyl compound, the second step. So this is a slow step in case of less sterically crowded compound. So if you see the same thing for sterically crowded compounds, that means bulky substituents are there in case of alcohol. So if the alcohol is having bulky substituent, in such case the ester formation is very typical. So it requires high energy. So this is the rate determining step here in case of substituted ones. So this ester formation is rate determining step. Then the cleavage of ester to form carbonyl is a fastest step. So this is very fast step. So overall, if you see the primary alcohol or nothing but the alcohol with less substitution will not easily form ester. It takes, the first step is a rate determining step, but the second step is fast step. But in case of sterically crowded ones, the first step is a rate determining step. Okay. So if you see the tertiary alcohols, so generally tertiary alcohol will not undergo any oxidation reactions. Okay, but the tertiary alcohol, nothing but 1,2 diols. So tertiary diols, which are seen in the picture, so they can be react with chromic acid. So the chromic acid can cleave the linkage between the two carbons and it produces two carbonyl functions. Okay. So the first, it forms a cyclic ester structure with this 1,2 diols, then it cleaves the CC bond and it produces 1,2 dicarbonyl compound, carbonyl compounds. So next, if you see other reagents, so this chromic acid is not selective one, this is a strong reagent, so it can converts aldehydes directly into acids or other esters. But if you want to produce carbonyl compounds from alcohols, mostly preferably primary alcohols, you have to use a mild reagent. So there are several mild reagents. So if you see the first one, that is Jones reagent. So Jones reagent, it is also a modification of chromium reagents. So this Jones reagent is nothing but the stoichiometric ratio of chromium trioxide, that is CrO3 plus sulfuric acid, which is taken in the acetone. Okay, the chromium trioxide plus sulfuric acid mixture taken in acetone is called as Jones reagent. So this Jones reagent can convert the alcohol, that is primary alcohol or some other less reactive alcohol which are having unsaturated functional group. They also get converted into carbonyl compounds. So the unsaturation, or which is labile compound, acid labile compounds which are there in the molecule, so they will not involve in the reaction. That means you can selectively oxidize only the alcohol part by using Jones reagent. Okay. So furthermore, if you want to synthesize or produce only alcohol by using furthermore, if you want to synthesize only aldehyde from primary alcohols, so the easy approach is you have to distill out the product as soon as it is formed. Okay, simply distillation of the product. So that means the product is not available for further more reaction. So the aldehyde you will get. So this will not involve in further reaction to form acid. Okay, this is some other step. So next, coming to Collins reagent. So the Collins reagent, the reaction you can see in the picture, the chromium trioxide Okay, chromium trioxide plus pyridine complex. That is called as Collins reagent. So chromium trioxide plus pyridine is called as Collins reagent. This is taken in DCM, that is dichloromethane. So this reagent is very selective, and it can be convert alcohol into carbonyl compound without affecting very sensitive groups like epoxide or cyclic other structures. Okay, so if you seen in the reaction, so the epoxide part will not involve any reaction. So you are selectively oxidizing only alcohol group. Okay, next coming to pyridine complexes. So chromium plus pyridine complexes, they are PCC, that is chlorochromate and pyridium dichromate. So these two can also be used as oxidizing agent. So these two are also very mild oxidizing agents and sensitive oxidizing agents. So they react alcohols into carbonyl compounds without affecting unsaturated group or any other acid level group. So if you see the structure of pyridinium chlorochromate, so the pyridine plus chromium trioxide plus acid, little amount of acid like that. So and pyridium dichromate. So both can be used as mild oxidizing agents for alcohols. So next, this is about chromium compounds. So next coming to DMSO, so that is dimethyl sulfoxide. So dimethyl sulfoxide plus oxalyl chloride. So this combined reagent, this can also be used for the oxidation of alcohols. So this is the most common reaction, so and in the organic chemistry, and this is also known as Swern oxidation. So the important reaction, this is the Swern oxidation. So when DMSO is taken along with oxalyl chloride, first it forms an intermediate ion, that is positive charge on sulfur. Okay, this type of ion intermediate will be formed. When this reacts with alcohol, so this forms alkyl sulfonium compound. One alkyl sulfonium salt is formed there. So the formed alkyl sulfonium salt, upon addition of base, generally here we use the strong base triethyl amine. So this strong base upon this oxalyl chloride, so the strong base reacts with this and produces the carbonyl compound. So this is called as Swern oxidation. So next coming to manganese dioxide. So one other reagent, this is manganese dioxide. So this is somewhat different reagent compared to the previous ones. So that is, this manganese dioxide specially oxidizes allylic or benzylic alcohols. Okay, this is very specific for only allylic or benzylic alcohol. So generally these allylic or benzylic alcohols can be oxidized into carbonyl compounds by using manganese dioxide. So if you see the reaction, that is, so in the second reaction, so you can see that in the molecule there are 3 OH functions, that is 3 hydroxyl groups are there, but only the one which is allylic, that is only oxidized by using manganese dioxide to form a carbonyl compound. So the other secondary alcohol groups which are there in the molecule are not reacted, they remained as it is. So this is about manganese dioxide. So next coming to Oppenauer oxidation. So this is some other modification. This is nothing but aluminum isopropoxide here we use. Okay, the aluminum isopropoxide along with our alcohol and one ketone. So they reacts to produce carbonyl compound from alcohol. So generally in this reaction hydride transfer takes place. That means aluminum isopropoxide first form a complex with other alcohol. Okay, our alcohol, it forms alkyl aluminate. Okay, so that then when the hydrogen transfer, that is hydride transfer, will takes place from one alcohol molecule to another. So that's why one alcohol will get converted into carbonyl compound, and the carbonyl compound which is there in the reaction will reduce to alcohol. So if you see in the reaction, so the secondary alcohol reacts with the carbonyl compound. Okay, so the hydride transfer from this alcohol to carbonyl takes place. This carbonyl compound will get reduced to alcohol, and this alcohol will oxidize to carbonyl compound. So this is commonly known as Oppenauer oxidation, and it is the exactly reverse reaction of MPV reduction, that is Merwin-Pondorf-Verley reduction. Okay, so if you see in the second reaction example. So this is the alcohol is converted into carbonyl compound. So in some cases, if there is a beta gamma unsaturated alcohols, in such cases sometimes the migration of unsaturated bond will also takes place in these reactions. Okay. So this is about the oxidation of alcohols into aldehydes and carbonyl compounds. Okay. Alcohols, primary alcohols can be converted into aldehydes, and the aldehyde, if you use a mild reagent, aldehyde will be stable as it is, but if you use a harsh reagent, the aldehyde will get immediately converted into carboxylic acid, and the secondary alcohol will convert it
It
into
is over oxidation.
ketone.
It undergoes
Okay,
over
over-oxidation.
oxidation.
Okay.
Okay, Rajkumar garu, the combination composition of the reagent in the Surratt's and Collins reagent, both are same, but the difference is solvent. Okay. What is the advantage and disadvantage when we compare to both the reagents?
What the
Surratt's and Collins.
So Collins reagent and
Surratt's.
Surratt oxidation.
Yes.
Okay, generally in case
The
of
difference is only pyridine.
okay,
in
the
case-
pyridine. So generally pyridine is a base, you know that. So it sometimes it forms a complex with the aged reagent, and it reduces the activity of that one.
Yes.
So the pyridine, usage of pyridine is somewhat useful in case if you use a sensitive oxidation. That
Yes.
means very mild reaction conditions, if you need, you have to use pyridine.
Okay. Mohan Babu garu, what are the Woodward and Fisher oxidations? Where we are used this kind of oxidation? What is the comparison between the both the oxidations?
Prevost oxidation and the Woodward oxidations. So both are the oxidation reactions of the olefins, and the resulting products are the diols only. And the major difference between these two reagents is, in the Prevost oxidation reaction we will get the trans product, whereas in Woodward oxidation reaction we will get the cis product. So this mechanism is, so this difference is because of the during the mechanism, means this difference is occurred during the mechanism. So whereas the Prevost oxidation, in Prevost oxidation we won't use the water in the initial step, whereas in Woodward oxidation reaction we will use the water in the middle step. So if you see the mechanism of these two reagents, so here the Prevost oxidation. So in Prevost oxidation the olefin reacts with the iodine. Here the reagent used for this Prevost and the Woodward oxidation reactions is iodine and the silver salt of the carboxylic acid. So here the olefin, in first step the olefin reacts with the iodine, and it converts into the, it means it gives a iodinium salt of the ion. Then carboxylate ion, it attacks from the backside of this cyclic structure, means the intermediate, and it expels the iodine, and it leads to the formation of a cyclic intermediate, whereas the cyclic intermediate, then this cyclic intermediate gets cleaved or gets opened by attacking of the second mole of the silver acetate ion. This acetate ion is again, it attacks from the back side, and it leads to the formation of diester of intermediate, and this diester is further undergoes the hydrolysis, and it gives the trans diol product. Whereas if you see the Woodward modification, so in Woodward modification, so same, the mechanism same, but in the second step we will use the water. In second step we will use the water. So this water molecule gets attached on this the cyclic ester, and the bond between the oxygen and the hydrogen gets overlapped in between the oxygen and carbon, and it leads to the cleavage of the oxygen and the carbon bond, and it leads to the formation of a monoester. And this monoester again reacts with, means this monoester, the oxygen present in the ester, again the lone pair electrons attacks on the carbon, and it forms a bond between the oxygen and carbon, and it expels the iodine, and it leads to the formation of a the cyclic intermediate, and in the final step, upon the hydrolysis it gives a 2 hydroxy groups, that is diol. So here the resulting compound is a cis diol, whereas the pre-host it is a trans diol. So the difference is only in pre-host oxidation. In pre-host oxidation we won't use in the mechanism, whereas in Woodward oxidation we will use the water molecule in the reaction, in between the reaction. That's why we are getting the cis product here, and in pre-host is a trans product. So this is a major difference between these two reagents.
Next, Rajkumar garu, what is the have already discussed about the Jones reagent. In the Jones reagent, alcohol group with any oxidizable group is present. Is it effective with the Jones reagent or not?
Alcohol with any other function.
Suppose if, a triple bond or double bond is there in the structure, is it affected by the oxidizing agent Jones reagent or not?
So in case of Jones reagent, so the attack will not take place. So why? Because Jones reagent means it is chromium trioxide plus H2SO4 in, that is stoichiometric ratio of chromium trioxide plus H2SO4 in acetone we are taking here. So this is somewhat acidic group, but compared to bare chromium oxide, so this is somewhat mild reagent. So the reactions, if you see in the reactions, so there is no such attacking. That means a double bonds and triple bonds, they also remain as it is. Okay, they will not get affected by this reagents. So that's why here we are using this modification, the mixture of reagents here we are using to control the reaction, that is control the reaction and control the oxidation process, to limit and to prevent the further oxidation of this double bonds or triple bonds by the reagent.
Okay. Yes, sir. Next, Mohan Babu garu, we have different types of metal hydrates are used in the reduction. Okay. In that similar way, sodium borohydrate and lithium aluminum hydrate. These two reagents, how to use the as reducing agents? What is the importance of these reagents in the reductions?
Yeah, these complex metal hydrates, sodium borohydrate and lithium aluminum hydrate. So these two are the major hydride ion transfer reducing reagents. So these two reagents used for the reduction of the carbonyl compounds and esters and whatever, any amides and next nitriles. So all these compounds gets reduced into the different their respective products. For example, the carbonyl compounds and the esters and anhydrides and epoxides. So all these compounds, upon the reduction with the lithium aluminum hydrate, they converts into alcohols. Same as here the amides and nitriles and nitro compounds and cyanides and isocyanides. All these compounds, amines and imines also, these converts into the amine. So means these converts into amine functional group. So here the lithium aluminum hydrate and sodium borohydrate. So both are hydride ion transfer reducing reagent, but here the major difference between these two is sodium borohydrate is a selective reducing reagent, whereas the lithium aluminum hydrate is a non-selective reducing reagent. That means selective and non-selective in the sense, for example, if any compound is having the two functional group in the same compound, same molecule, so irrespective of the functional group, the lithium aluminum hydrate reduces the both functional group and converts into alcohol. For example, if the compound is having two functional group like ester and ketone, so if you use the lithium aluminum hydrate irrespective of this one, so it reduces the non-selectively reduces both functional group into alcohol. Instead of lithium aluminum hydrate, if you use the sodium borohydrate, so it selectively reduces only one functional group. So it reduces only carbonyl functional group, whereas it won't reduces the ester group. So it is a selective one. And in sodium borohydrate and the mechanism, so the mechanism of this lithium aluminum hydrate, here the lithium aluminum hydrate, so this reaction is a 1:4 reaction. That means the 1 mole of the 1 equivalent of the lithium aluminum hydride gets it converts the 4 moles of the carbonyl compounds into 4 alcohols. So if you use the 1 equivalent of the lithium aluminum hydride, so it reduces the 4 moles of the carbonyl compounds, and subsequently we will get the 4 moles of the alcohol. So in the mechanism, the first step involves that the transfer of the 1 hydride ion from the lithium aluminum hydride to the carbonyl group, and carbonyl group. So the 1 hydride ion attacks at the electrophilic center of the carbonyl group, then it leads to the overlapping of the polarizing of the carbon oxygen bond, and again, so here the lithium aluminum hydride, here the aluminum hydride, it becomes electron deficient, means it converts into Lewis acid. So this polarized oxygen, the negative charge again attacks on this aluminum hydride. So here the 3 hydrogens are left out, so it able to again transfer the 3 hydrogens. Upon the second step, it transfer the one of the hydrogen, the second hydrogen, and it converts into the dialkoxy aluminate. Again the third mole of the carbonyl compounds gets reduced, and it converts into the trialkoxy aluminate. Same in the same manner, the fourth one means here the aluminum hydride having the only one hydrogen, so it able to transfer one hydride ion. So the last mole of the carbonyl compounds gets reduced, and it converts into the tetraalkoxy aluminate. So these tetraalkoxy aluminates in the final step, they undergoes into the hydrolysis, and upon the cleavage of the metal and oxygen bond, it converts into 4 moles of the alcohol. So this is the mechanism of lithium aluminum hydride. And the lithium aluminum hydride, here the major application of this lithium aluminum hydride is, if the alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compounds are there, so here it reduces. For example, if it is having any triple bonds, so it converts into the trans double bond. So this is one of the reaction of lithium aluminum hydride. And in the sterically crowded cyclohexanones, so it is very the reactions of lithium aluminum hydride, it is very specific. For example, in the tertiary butyl cyclohexanone, if you see the tertiary butyl cyclohexanone, the lithium aluminum hydride, it attacks from the sterically less crowded position. Here in tertiary butyl cyclohexanone, the lithium aluminum hydride, so there is 2 possibilities are there. So the lithium aluminum hydride, it may attacks from the front side, means the top face, or it may attacks from the back side, means it is bottom face. So top face, bottom face, 2 possibilities are there. But it here, if it is attacks from the top side, means that is axial attack. So if attacks from the axial side, so here the 2 flag pole hydrogens are present. So they inhibits the hydride ion to attack. That's why the hydride ion transfer takes place from the back side, that is endo attack of the hydride ion, and so it leads to the formation of the exo alcohol. And one more possibility is there, if it attacks from the top phase, that is the axial attack, so it gives a endo alcohol. If it is attacked from the bottom phase, so it gives a exo alcohol. But here the major product is decided by the steric factor. So it gives a endo alcohol as a major product, whereas the exo alcohol as a minor product. And same thing on the more substituted cyclohexanone, for example 3,3-dimethyl and 3,3 and 5 trimethyl cyclohexanone lithium aluminum hydride reductions. So here also it gives 2 kinds of products, one is the endo alcohol, whereas the exo alcohol. Here also the exo alcohol formed as the major product, whereas the endo alcohol formed as a endo product, means minor product. So this is the reaction of the lithium aluminum hydride. Next sodium borohydride. So sodium borohydride is same as, the mechanism is same as lithium aluminum hydride. Here also the sodium borohydride also having the 4 hydrogen atoms along around that one. So it able to transfer the 4 hydride ions. So it reduces the, it able to reduce the 4 carbonyl compounds and converts into the 4 alcohols. So here also same thing, but only thing is the difference is it is a less reactive, whereas the lithium aluminum hydride is a more reactive. And here the very important in the sodium borohydride reductions is here the modification of the sodium borohydride. So here in sodium borohydride, so if any alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compounds are present, for example, if in the same compound, if the one is a normal carbonyl compound, and the another is the alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compounds are present. So in such cases, the alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound gets reduced into the alcohol. Same thing in presence of cerium chloride, so if the alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound, whereas the aldehyde and ketone both are present, so only the ketone group is going to reduced, whereas the aldehyde does not gets reduced. So this is because of the cerium chloride gets means it forms a chelation with the carbonyl, right. So this is the reactions of the sodium borohydride.
Okay. Rajkumar garu, what is catalytic hydrogenation? How many types of it is? And explain with suitable examples.
So catalytic hydrogenation means, so that name itself, the term is saying that you are using a catalyst as hydrogenating agent. So in these type of cases we use some catalyst. So not reagent here, it is a catalyst, mostly it is a catalyst, and along with that we are using hydrogen. Hydrogen along with catalyst we use in many of the cases. In some cases the catalyst itself contains hydrogens and it can transfer hydrogens to that one, to the reactant. So in this type of catalytic hydrogenations, generally there are two reactions. So one is the unsaturation. To the unsaturation, hydrogens are attacked. That means unsaturation will get converted into saturation, and 2 hydrogens are attached at the end of unsaturation group. So this is called as the addition type of reaction. Okay. So this is nothing but hydrogenation reaction. So another thing is hydrogenolysis. So the hydrogenolysis means here in this case, so the bond between 2 carbons will get cleaved in a reductive manner. That means the bond will get cleaved, and to each of those bonded atoms we are adding hydrogen atoms. Okay. So similar to unsaturation, but here we are cleaving the bond and we are making 2 fragments, and 2 are reductively cleaved, and hydrogen atoms are attached to 2 carbons. So this is called as hydrogenolysis. So the total 2 types, hydrogenation and hydrogenolysis, are present in catalytic hydrogenation. Okay. And coming to this catalytic hydrogenation, this may be of 2 types. Okay, depending upon the nature of a reactant, that is the physical state of reactants and catalyst we are using, we can classify them into 2 types. So one is heterogeneous catalyst and homogeneous catalyst. That is nothing but heterogeneous hydrogenation and homogeneous hydrogenation. So in heterogeneous catalytic hydrogenation, the catalyst which is there in a different state, that means all the reactants are in liquid state, but the catalyst will be in the solid state. Okay, this type of hydrogenation is called heterogeneous hydrogenation. So homogeneous hydrogenation means both the catalyst and reactants all are in same physical state, that means both are in liquid state. So in these 2 types of reactions, so the 2 have their own advantages and disadvantages. Okay, if you see about catalytic hydrogenation by using heterogeneous method, that means heterogeneous catalysis means you are using the catalyst in solid state and that is the reactants in liquid state. So in such cases the reaction, so the specificity of reaction is very less in this case. Okay, the reaction will drastically takes place and all will get reduced, all the things, that means double bonds and the heterogeneous bonds all will get reduced. Okay, and So this is its disadvantage is it is not a selective one, and the advantage regarding this is we can easily separate the product and reactants from the mixture. That means the catalyst is in solid state. So we simply filter the catalyst and remove the catalyst from the reaction, and we can reuse the catalyst. Okay, this is the most important advantage regarding the heterogeneous catalysis. Okay, we can easily recollect the catalyst and we can reuse the catalyst by using some treatment. Next we can reuse the catalyst also. So most commonly in case of this heterogeneous hydrogenations, we use metal, that is transition metals. So just like palladium, platinum, rhodium, iridium. So like all these elements, the catalyst, nickel, okay, all such type of things can be used as heterogeneous catalyst. So one more thing in heterogeneous catalysis is if you use the catalyst in bulk state, that means we are using catalyst in a large amount and in the large size. Okay, if you use like that, the interaction between the catalyst and reacting molecules will be very poor. That means the catalyst will not directly bind to the surface of the reactant will bind to the surface of the catalyst. So but this binding will less in case of if you use large sized catalyst, but this mainly depends upon the surface area of the catalyst. If you increase the surface area of the catalyst, there is much more surface area, so many number of molecules, reacting molecules can attach on the catalytic surface and they can undergo reaction. So that's why mostly we use the catalyst which is having high surface area, that means in the small quantities, that is so in small particles type of catalyst we use, that is so the powder form, okay, which is having much exposed surface area we use. Okay, so in case of homogeneous hydrogenation, okay, if you are coming to homogeneous method, so the catalyst will be in the liquid state and reactant also in liquid state. So the advantage for this one is the reaction, the interaction will be more, and you can specifically modify only our desired functional groups. Okay, the specificity is more in case of homogeneous catalysis. Okay, so this is the most important advantage regarding homogeneous catalysis. But the disadvantage here is you cannot separate the catalyst after the reaction, and we cannot reuse the catalyst. Once you added the catalyst to the reaction mixture, they interact with each other and both are in liquid state, so they can form some bonds and undergo some conversion. But at the end we cannot recollect the catalyst by using any simple technique. Okay, just like in the case of heterogeneous hydrogenation, you can simply filter them or centrifuge them, simply you can recollect the catalyst, but that is not possible here. But the advantage here is it is highly selective. Okay, if you use some catalyst just like Wilkinson catalysis, so we use a selective reagents. Okay, so the reagents will selectively reduce our desired functional group. So this is regarding homogeneous hydrogenations. Okay, there are several types are there. So broadly speaking, this is about homogeneous and heterogeneous hydrogenation.
Okay, sir. Mr. Mohan Babu garu, what is PDC? You are used the word in the explanation of the reduction of the NBH and sodium lithium borohydride. Okay, what is the exploration of the PDC?
Yeah, PDC. So PDC means the product development control. So product development control means during the during the carbonyl compound reduction with the lithium aluminum hydride. So here the stability of the product, right? Here the stability of the product is decided by means here the major and minor product formation is decided by the stability factor. So here the which compound is more stable means which is major and which is minor is decided by the stability. So this phenomena is called the PDC, product development control. For example, if you see the mechanism of this one, here in cyclohexanone, in the cyclohexanone, here the lithium aluminum hydride, so it attacks from the top phase, means axial attack is disfavored for this one, and the equatorial attack is favored because there is no steric hindrance for the approaching of the hydride ion from the bottom phase. But here the attack of the lithium aluminum hydride takes place from the top side. But here the two hydrogens are there and steric hindrance is there, but here the steric hindrance is neglected here. neglected, because the formed product is, if it is attacks from the top side, so it gives a endo alcohol. If it is attacks from the bottom face, means endo attack, so it gives a axial alcohol. But here the major product is the endo alcohol. So actually the attack is, it must be takes place from the bottom side, but it is taking from the top side. So here the means here the steric factor is neglected. So this phenomena is called the product development control.
Okay, sir. Can you explain the metal dissolving metal reductions?
Yeah, dissolving metal reduction. So the example is the Wilkinson catalyst. So in Clemmensen reduction, so in metal dissolved reduction, so the Clemmensen reduction, so in Clemmensen reduction, the carbonyl compounds gets hydrogenated in the presence of the zinc metal, zinc mercury and the acid HCl. Right, here the zinc acts as a, electron donor, means zinc metal supplies the electrons to the carbonyl compounds, whereas the HCl acid, it supplies the proton to the reactant. So here the first the carbonyl compound gets attached on the surface of the metal, and the one of the proton is coming from the HCl, and it protonated on the alcohol, and then the protonated on the alcohol, and the water molecule gets removed. Then the zinc metal supplies the 4 electrons, and it converts into the metal sorry, it converts into the anion. Anion. Then it converts into the anion. Then it is by gaining up 2 protons from the HCl, and it converts into the hydrocarbon. So the Clemmensen reduction reaction is the conversion of the carbonyl compounds into the hydrocarbon. So this is called dissolving metal reduction reaction.
Okay, sir. In the overall program, we are today in this program discussed about the oxidation of the alcohol by the Rajkumar. In that overall oxidation reactions of alcohols, we have discussed about the chromium oxidants. The chromium oxidants like chromium oxidants, most of the unsaturated aldehydes are the products for the oxidation of alcohols. In the similar way, in the chromium oxidation, chromium mixed with acids and several organic solvents, it produces different chromium reagents like Serret's reagent and Coalins reagents, Jones reagent. Okay. In the similar way, chromium mixed with sulfoxide reagents like DMSO, Swern oxidizing agent, in that all these reagents produces alcohol to carbonyl compounds, but most of the cases the product is always carbonyl compound. The production of during this oxidation by using these reagents, production of aldehyde is but most prominent not possible formation of aldehydes, but the ketones are very easy to produce from the alcohol to ketones. This is the most prominent reactions for the production of the ketones. In the similar way, oxidation of olefins are carried out by the different reagents to corresponding diols. It is also called as glycols, said by our expert J. Mohan Babu garu. Okay, we are using the oxidation of these olefins, several reagents, those are hydrogen peroxides or hydrogen peroxide derivatives. Hydrogen peroxide, in the hydrogen peroxide, that is H2O2, one of the hydrogen is replaced with all organic group, any organic group, it produces the organic peroxides. These organic peroxides are also useful for the oxidation of olefins. The only difference is hydrogen peroxides are used in the aqueous medium. Okay. If you compare the organic peroxides and normal peroxide, hydrogen peroxide only soluble in aqueous medium, but in the case of organic medium the solubility problem is there. In the similar way, vice versa, organic peroxides are used in the reaction, aqueous medium reagents, medium reactions, solubility problem is there. Okay, this is the difficulty overcome by the formation of organic peroxides and simple peroxides. Simple peroxides are used in the aqueous medium, organic peroxides are used in the organic medium. In the similar way, KMNO4. potassium permanganate is also used for the production of diols and glycols. In the similar way, hydrogen osmium tetroxide is also useful for the production of the diols. The reactivity similarities in the KMnO4 and osmium tetroxides are very similar. The mechanism is also very similar, and the reactivity and the percentage of the product produced in the reaction is also similar. And but the difference is amount of the oxidizing agent used in the reaction. That is, KMnO4 involved reaction, we are using the proportionate quantities of the KMnO4 are used in the organic reactions, but in the case of organic reaction that is oxidation reaction involved in the osmium tetroxide, the quantity is only catalytic amount, is said by the J. Mohan Babu garu. Okay, why we are using the catalytic amount is it is already said by the Mohan Babu garu, that is the expensive reagent and also toxic. Okay, we are today we are talking about the green chemistry. For avoiding the toxic elements in the reaction, every reaction is green reaction. That is why avoiding the large amount of the oxidizing agent in the reaction, the reaction converts into green reaction. That means the osmium tetroxide is used in the catalytic amount along with the co-oxidant. The co-oxidant is not harmful or not toxic, but it is oxidize the osmic acid to corresponding osmium tetroxide. Then this osmium tetroxide recycled in the overall reaction. Okay, in this manner also we are converting olefins to corresponding diols. In the similar way, Woodward and Fischer Prevost reactions, Woodward and Prevost, both the reactions are same, mechanism is also same, but one reaction is dry reaction, one reaction is wet reaction. One of the reaction produces that is in the Woodward reaction produces cis product, in the Prevost reaction it produces trans product, but the reaction condition is different. That is, one of the reaction involves in the reaction is organic medium, that is the Prevost reaction involves the organic solvent, the Woodward reaction involves the aqueous reagent. That is why the products are different, the stereochemistry of the products are different. Next, also the reactions involve the reduction reactions. The reduction reactions we are discussed about the large data here, lithium aluminum hydride and sodium borohydride reactions are discussed here. In the sodium borohydride, it produces some specific products and it shows some specific reactivity. In the similar manner, lithium aluminum hydride shows it is a vigorous reducing agent, because the lithium aluminum hydride it reduces almost of all reducible groups. That means it is also reduces the nitro group, but sodium borohydride will not reduce nitro group. Okay, that is the greatness of the lithium aluminum hydride, but this greatness is always not useful, because some reactions only the selective reduction is required. Suppose Mohan Babu sir said that the reaction involves a compound, in that compound contains a keto group as well as ester group. Okay, here we require a specific reactivity. The specific reactivity is shown by the sodium borohydride, but that specific reactivity will not shown by the lithium aluminum. Okay, all these data explained by our eminent lectures. Okay, thank you for listening. Thank you.